Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Krakenation here. I'm coming at you guys today with the next installment of the competitive Pokemon Master Guide, where you can come and learn just how to use Pokemon at a higher level, refresh your knowledge of competitive Pokemon, try to learn how to master these sets with these Pokemon, what they do in competitive formats, and especially when that is pertaining to how you can build with them, build around them, how you can prepare for your opponent's sets, things like that. So today we're going to be talking about the current king of Smogon OU, but a Pokemon that is well known across different competitive formats, including VGC and Smogon formats, Clefable. Clefable is just a complete beast in the competitive scene right now. Maybe the #1 usage Pokemon that you'll find. So knowing how to use it and how to beat it is going to be really crucial if you're trying to be a really competitive Pokemon player. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start taking a look at what we're looking at when we're looking at the boy Clefable. So Clefable is a pure fairy type, good defensive typing, with 3 abilities, 2 of which are pretty useful, 1 of which is very useful. Magic Guard is a fantastic ability. Unaware, also pretty nichely useful actually. Don't sleep on that ability. But taking a look at the stats here, what's curious about Clefable is it's a Pokemon that's like weirdly not impressive on paper, but in practice is very, very good, because these stats don't pop out to you. Obviously 95 special attack is okay, 95 HP, 90 special defense is okay, but if you think about the fact that this Pokemon is technically like less bulky than something like Victini, or less bulky than like Manaphy, these base 100 mons, it's not that bulky. And then on the physically defensive side, Clefable is known as a good physical wall, but look at that 73 defense stat. So right off on paper, this is one of those things where you gotta kind of realize that stats aren't the entire thing and they don't paint the whole picture. You gotta look at everything and see the whole big picture view. You gotta look at that defensive abilities like Magic Guard that makes it immune to those chip damages. So all of a sudden Stealth Rock, 2 KOs with the Stealth Rock chip damage no longer apply to Clefable, or the Fairy type and give it some key resistances to common attacking types like the Fairy type or the Dragon type. These kind of things play into the whole defensive kind of image of what this Pokemon becomes, because if you just look at these stats, there's nothing baller there. You know, there's nothing that's going to stand out as a standout Pokemon. So we need to look more into this Pokemon about what makes it the defensive master that it is today in the metagame, just the support mon of the gods right now. So beyond that though, yeah, 95 special attack, definitely not unusable. 70 attack is not a very usable physical attack set. You won't see a lot of physical Clefables out there. I guess you could if you're crazy and you're a mad scientist, but I wouldn't recommend it. On 60 speed, obviously you are a defensive Pokemon, so 60 speed is pretty slow. So going ahead and look at some strengths and weaknesses for our Clefable here. So the first up is that it has a great defensive typing against common offensive types. Like I was talking about earlier, it resists things like the fighting type, the bug type, and the dragon type. So you're going to have some key resistances against very common attacking types in the metagame right now. It's also got a great support move pool and recently got buffed in Generation 8 with the change to the teleport mechanic, where now teleport is a pivot move. So what teleport does now is that it pivots you out with priority -6. So what Clefable has is also Wish. It also has Soft Boiled and Moonlight. So you can really pick how you want to recover your Clefable, which is cool. But Wish is really cool with a Pokemon like this, because you can run Wish and teleport and reliably switch in other Pokemon to Wish support them without making them fear coming in on an attack, because teleport will always go last. And that is really, really, really huge for Clefable right now. And if it wasn't already, it was already a top Pokemon in the metagame, and now it's even more dominant because it's just so powerful by using this teleport set. Because Clefable is usually so bulky, it can come in on really any kind of more passive Pokemon, something like a Toxapex, thing comes to mind, or like a Corviknight. These more passive Pokemon, it can come in and eat some hits. Click Wish, teleport out, and bring in and heal up and your wall breakers and your offensive Pokemon so that they can keep pressuring throughout the match. So it's got this fantastic move pool, not to mention things like Stealth Rocks, Thunder Wave, Calm Mind. It's got support moves out the wazoo. It's got a really good choice of abilities. Magic Guard is your #1 choice, but Unaware is also a very viable option for Pokemon that, if you are worried about things setting up on you, Unaware is a legitimate option that you can consider. It's not an awful ability. Sufficient bulk to take on a lot of common attacks. Like I said, that bulk doesn't look fantastic, but when you combine the fact that it's not taking Stealth Rock damage, it's got access to reliable recovery, it's got a good defensive typing, it's got sufficient bulk to take on a lot of common neutral attacks, and that's really key for it. But now looking at some cons here, it can be broken down by powerful wall breakers because its bulk isn't amazing, and things like powerful wall breakers that don't rely on significant amounts of chip damage can become a really big problem for it. Things like Specs Dragals or Banded Terrakion, Flame Orb Fast Conkeldurr can become really big issues because they can just eat through this thing's health before it has a chance to click a recovery move, because things that 2-hit KO Clefable really become issues for it very quickly because it's not fast, it's not offensive, so it needs to be avoiding 2-hit KOs at all costs. The other one I want to talk about is that it can be passive or lack offensive presence, because Clefable isn't necessarily a great offensive Pokemon. 95 special attack, keep in mind, isn't awful, and we are going to talk about its offensive capabilities for sure in this video, but it can be a little passive, especially if you're running, for example, that teleport set. It can be a little more passive, so keep that in mind. But if you notice, there's not a lot of cons here because Clefable is a pretty splashable Pokemon on a really wide variety of teams, and you're never really going to go wrong with Clefable. It's so versatile on so many teams. Bulky offense teams love it because it can wish support a lot of their wall breakers and their sweepers and stuff like that. Defensive teams love it because it can be a win con on a defensive team. It can be an offensive presence on a defensive team, but it can also be just a great tank. So balanced teams love it because it can fill all the roles in between. It's just a really versatile Pokemon that fits into a lot of different archetypes, and you're going to find a lot of success with it for sure. So taking a look at the first set I want to talk about, this is the support cleric that is currently rampaging through the metagame. Leftovers, Magic Guard, Calm. You can also go make this a bold with 2/2 defensive set, but we're going to run a specially defensive set. It's really just up to what your team needs. Do you need a special wall? Do you need a physical wall? Ask yourself that. And for moves, we're going to run Teleport, Wish, Protect, and Moonblast. So Wish Protect just gives this thing reliable recovery for itself. Moonblast is just an okay move to run. You know, it's your stab move of choice. It's pretty powerful. And then Teleport in tandem with Wish and Protect. So what's really cool is you can scout for choice items. Wish, protect your way through to scout for choice items. Wish, teleport to heal your partners, and just really kind of gain a lot of informational and momentum advantage on your opponent because teleport is minus priority. It's always a slow pivot move. You can click Wish. That is just so strong, guys. I cannot stress how much this set could be banned in the future. If it is, and this video is now out of date, I apologize, but this set is very viable, and if you are a VGC player, this could be a set that you want to think about for sure, guys. Taking a look at the next set, I've got a Calm Mind set here, and this was a really good Clefable set before Teleport became released, and it still is very good. Teleport just kind of outshines it now, but I want to make sure you guys take a look at this set. I've got Leftovers as the item here for my Calm Mind Clefable, but if you wanted to go Life Orb with Magic Guard, that is definitely a really viable option, guys. I would really definitely suggest thinking about that as well, because Life Orb can give you a lot of extra power. I ran Leftovers. I like to run Leftovers for that extra chip damage because chip recovery, because like as I talked about, you don't want your Clefable to get 2-hit KO'd, and Leftovers can be the difference between a 45% to 50%, or like a 45 to 55% attack being like a guaranteed 2-hit KO or a likely 2-hit KO, and a guaranteed 3-hit KO, in which case Clefable now balls out because it can click recovery moves. So I prefer Leftovers, but I do think Life Orb is a very valid consideration based on the kind of team you're using it on. If you're running more a team where Clefable is forced to be the offensive presence, I might run Life Orb. If you're running a more defensive team or maybe Clefable is relied upon to be a more defensive Pokemon, Leftovers might be the choice for you. So I'm going to go Calm Mind and Soft Boil on the set. Moonblast is your attack of choice in general situations. That's your best attack that Clefable gets. And then Flamethrower or Thunderbolt based on what you want to beat. So Flamethrower is really good in general because it achieves a really fantastic coverage with the Fairy tandem, because you unfortunately aren't hitting fire types, but Flamethrower will hit those steel types that resist the Moonblast. Now on the other hand, Thunderbolt is specifically for Toxpex in the metagame right now. If you're running into a lot of Toxpexes and your team struggles, you may want to go Thunderbolt so you can do a little bit more damage to you. Just keep in mind that Toxpex usually is bulky enough to take a Thunderbolt and then click Haze, so you may lose all your Calm Mind boosts in the process. So in general, I think Flamethrower is going to be your move of choice, and you're just going to forego the ability to hit Toxpex, and you're going to instead try to hit things like Corviknight, Ferrothorn, those Pokemon in general over that. So now finally, I want to talk about some team options and some counters to Clefable in the metagame right now. So when you're building with Clefable, I want you guys to keep an eye out for wall breakers that want their health restored and appreciate defensive pivot. Just any wall breakers, something like Q-Rem or Aegislash or Hydreigon or Conkeldurr are all really good partners just because they're wall breakers that don't necessarily have a ton of bulk and would love Clefable to help them out in that regard. Partners that need dragon and fighting types checked, like Bisharp, Kyurem, and Terrakion, could all really appreciate Clefable, because Clefable can come on those fighting and those dragon moves and really punish those Pokemon in return. And also, partners that can beat bulky and steel poisons will be appreciated by Clefable a lot, because Clefable struggles with Pokemon like Toxapex or Aegislash. But another one I want to talk about is Rotom Heat, and I'm going to talk about that here. Rotom Heat is a terrific answer in general, so let's talk about some counters here in general. Bulky steel types like Ferrothorn and Aegislash, when you're not running Flamethrower, so for example, like that Teleport set isn't running Flamethrower, so those Pokemon are going to be a really big issue for you when you're running that set. When you're not running, it also gets Fire Blast, keep that in mind. So you want to run Fire Blast over Flamethrower and risk the miss. That's up to you if you think that power is key, but just keep that in mind. If you wanted to fit a fire move on the Clefable set, you'd probably have to opt it in over Protect. That's the most expendable move on that set, obviously, but you're going to have a hard time keeping your Clefable healthy when it can't Wish Protect on its own. Rotom Heat is a difficult Pokemon to beat for Clefable. It just really doesn't get any moves. Like we talked about, the 3 moves I talked about running in this offensive move I talked about running on Clefable in this video were Moonblast, which is resisted, Flamethrower, which is resisted, and Thunderbolt, which is resisted, if you guys notice. So Clefable has a hard time with Rotom Heat, especially if it can click Trick or if it can click Nasty Plot or something. But if it is like a Rotom Heat that's locked into a move, you might actually be able to beat it with a Calm Mind set. Just keep in mind that in general, it's going to be overall difficult for you to beat. And finally, powerful wall breakers like Guts, Facade, Congeler, or Bandit Terrakion, Specs, Dragapult, that Clefable may be meant to check, could become an issue for it if you're not running the correct investment, and it could get quickly overwhelmed. Like I said, if Clefable's getting 2-hit KO'd, it's useless, because it really needs to be able to take two to be able to be an effective Pokemon on your team. Well, I hope you guys are as excited to use Clefable as I am. Hope you guys now have a better idea of what makes this Pokemon so good in the metagame right now, because I think it is not very apparent at a surface level, and you kind of got to get some experience and maybe some more information about it to become knowledgeable and really understand what's making this Pokemon the absolute force to be reckoned with that it is in the metagame right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a comment, rate, subscribe, guys. It is always so appreciated. And if you want to go ahead and join our Discord channel in the link down below in the description box, go ahead and do that, and you can become a part of our competitive Pokemon community that we are growing, and it is really awesome to be in there, guys. If you ever have any questions, people are always around to help you make decisions about team building, so I really recommend you join. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.